Okay, hello, we're back. I'm gonna turn off my mic really quickly because some music just kicked in. I just wanted to show you that heavy industrial music. Pretty creepy. It only kicks in if you stick around long enough in that room. But, wow. Even, having played this game many times, that, really creeped me out. That weird footstep noise. I don't even know if I've heard that one before. Here's another concrete area, but we're gonna kick this thing's, little ass. Yeah. Holy shit. That was, unfair. So, I'm, you know, these things are, I'm trying to avoid that mist, but, it's pretty hard. Oh, we can go in this room. I didn't even realize. Now there's a lying figure in there. I'm gonna try and juke this one out and not get hit. Come on. Come on, you fucker. Holy shit. I guess I'm just really bad at this game. It's also really hard. I would usually skirt around them using the sidestep, but when it's in such a small confined space, it's hard to do that. But I will just have to get good, I guess. It's not like we're running low on supplies, and I know how to manage them, so we're gonna be just fine. So this room's really weird. There's a bunch of paintings crashing through glass everywhere. Ooh, a medkit. That's excellent. Another uneventful bathroom. And in this room, more handgun ammo. I think pretty soon I'm gonna start using the handgun. But, not just yet. And this is a picture of a guy on the table. Nothing interesting. There's a health drink. Someone tipped the fridge over. I feel bad for Margot Robbie. She doesn't deserve that kind of abuse. But we're gonna walk over here. Notice this is the cage or gate from earlier. And on the floor, got the fire escape key. Excellent. Here's another washing room. Nothing of interest. This garbage chute is closed, but there's some handgun ammo. It looks like it says well on there. There's some strange Arabic writing or something, but then someone wrote well. Interesting. I'm gonna save a line figure. There's another concrete room, and we can go through here, which is a staircase into the other side of the apartment building. It's got it blocked off. I like how it doesn't say it's boarded up, it says I can't get the door open. Come on, James. You fucking idiot. We're gonna head down here, and someone took this door off. There's a door here. All the doors in this hallway are broken, including this one. But we got some canned juice off the floor there. Now that's a really weird item. This is a puzzle. It's barely even a puzzle since it's just find item, use item. Not really you know, a real puzzle like the clock puzzle, but now it's unlocked. So usually you can actually try and get in here once you enter the gate, but it's usually locked. But the canned juice puzzle is a weird one, because it's such a weird item, you wouldn't really think of where to use it. I'm just going to show you this really quickly. So this is the bottom. Garbage. No use for that. Astute observation, James. So, we're going to head back in here. And what we actually can do, I'm going to check. I do have the courtyard key and I do have the fire escape key. But what I'm going to do first, as well I still am thinking of it, we're going to head up back to the garbage chute, back to that strange garbage. And we're going to use the canned juice, which is a very strange solution, but if you think of it, it's pretty heavy, you know. A 6-pack of juice. It probably seems heavier to James, since, like I said earlier, James is a bit of a pussy when it comes to strength. Although not when it comes to reaching his hand in strange holes. But anyways, we're going to go back to the garbage. And there's the strange garbage. The garbage bag is torn and the contents are strewn all over. I got a coin, old man. So it's the old man coin, which is used for a puzzle solution later. And there's some gossip magazine, eh? The police announced today that Walter Sullivan, who was arrested on the 18th of this month for the brutal murder of Billy Locane and his sister Miriam, committed suicide in his jail cell early on the morning of the 22nd. According to the police statement, Sullivan used a soup spoon to stab himself in the neck, severing his carotid artery. By the time the guard discovered him, Sullivan was dead from blood loss, the spoon buried 2 inches in his neck. That's a bad way to go. An old schoolmate of Walter Sullivan's, from his hometown of Pleasant River, said, "He didn't look like the type of guy who would kill kids." As opposed to the type of guy who does look like he would kill kids. But I do remember that just before they arrested him, he was blurting out all sorts of strange stuff, like, "He's trying to kill me, he's trying to punish me, the monster, the red devil. Forgive me, I did it, but it wasn't me." The schoolmate then added, "I guess that Sorry, but I guess that now that I think of it, he was kinda crazy." Yep. Well, killing kids usually makes you kinda crazy, but the red devil thing that they're talking about, it's sort of implied to be Pyramid Head in this game, what with his red glow earlier. But actually in 3, you find out Red Devil is actually Valtiel, who's a demon of the cult for this town. Not really a demon, you could call him that, but he's more of an entity, because he's not really evil. But yeah, you learn more about that in Silent Hill 3 and 4. But interesting note, that whole gossip magazine is about a guy named Walter Sullivan, who's a serial killer. And Walter Sullivan is, now a lot of people will give me shit for this, but he's the protagonist of Silent Hill 4. And I say protagonist because all the other worlds and all the maps are based off of Walter Sullivan's psyche. The main character, the player character, is Henry Townshend, who you play as, who is just stumbled into a bad situation. He's literally involved in the story because he rented a bad apartment. So the true protagonist is Walter Sullivan, and he's a serial killer, and so that's the first hint towards that is actually in Silent Hill 2, which is why a lot of people think the hole that's referred to in Neely's bar is holes from Silent Hill 4, is because they do have some foresight towards that. Now it says they killed Billy and Miriam Locane, which is very interesting because those are actually twins. And if you look up the twin victim is an enemy. I'll put up a picture here actually from Silent Hill 4, which is Billy and Miriam manifested as an enemy. It's pretty interesting. But I digress. Now that we got the prisoner coin, we can move on to the courtyard. Well, actually we could have done this before then, but use the courtyard key. So this is actually not a hallway like on the other side of the apartment building. It's a large courtyard, and the courtyard has a pool, and we're going to check out this pool. And I'm going to fall in because I think it's hilarious. But I'm going to avoid these line figures. You'll see a little baby carriage. I'm just juking out so I can explain this, but there's a coin in here, a snake coin. But that baby carriage in the center of a pool with some guys around it is a reference to the movie Rosemary's Baby, which apparently something very similar happens in that movie. I'm not a patrician, So I've never seen the movie. I've planned to, but I've never seen it. But interesting nonetheless. I'm gonna kill both these guys. And that quick turn I just did is an excellent tactic. Oh shoot. I beat him with the plank instead of kicking him. I juked both of these guys out pretty well. That quick turn I did, which I'll do again right now, is you hold both of the strafing buttons together, and it'll turn them around very quickly. Very handy for navigation. Now we're gonna enter room 101. Hear some weird noises, some vomiting noises. I'm gonna walk over here, pick up the ammo, but.
It wasn't me. I didn't do it.
Do what?
I didn't do anything. I swear. He was like this when I got here.
My name's James. James Sunderland.
Eddie.
Eddie. Who's that dead guy in the kitchen?
I didn't do it. I swear I didn't kill anybody.
You're not friends with that red pyramid.
Red pyramid thing. I don't know what you're talking about. Honest. But I did see some weird looking monsters. They scared the hell out of me, so I ran in here.
Well, I guess this place isn't too safe either. What happened here anyway?
I told you, I don't know. I'm not even from this town. I just...
You too, huh? Something just brought you here, right?
Yeah, you could say that.
Well, whatever it is, I think you better get out of here soon.
Yeah, you're right. What about you?
I'll leave as soon as I'm done here. Eddie, be careful.
James, you be careful too.
So there's our introduction to Eddie. His full name is Eddie Dombrowski, and I'm just going to explain right off the bat that his name comes from Eddie Murphy, which is hilarious. The developers of this game really loved silly American culture things, which you can see in Silent Hill 1 2. 1 2 sounds funny, but in the first Silent Hill, because a lot of the environments are actually from the design of Kindergarten Cop. A lot of the buildings are based on the buildings in that movie. And anyways, he originally had a much more cheerful and comical personality. I guess that makes sense since he's the fat guy. You assume he's jovial and all that. So Eddie was originally based on Eddie Murphy. Well, his name came from there. And also his last name is Dombrowski, which I believe you only read in the Book of Lost Memories version, or maybe in the manual of the game, I can't remember. But that comes from the Twin Peaks character Louis Dombrowski. That's where the name comes from. Worth noting that he says, "I saw some strange looking monsters, so I came in here." Really important piece of dialogue, because you'll notice that he doesn't say, I saw something, like a straitjacket type enemy, I saw, some legs. He doesn't specify what type of monsters, which is really important because Silent Hill is a reflection of the character's protagonist, the character's psyche. So the fact that the that he sees monsters, but they're non-specific, is very important, because Eddie's monsters could look much different than James. They're not lying figures, they're not mannequins, you know, whatever. Although there is some overlap in that characters can sometimes see other monsters, but even then you don't know for sure if it's the exact same in the eyes of the other character. And in this game, when it does bump the mic, I'm sorry. When it does overlap, there is a good explanation for it, but I'll talk about it when I get there. That's much later in the game. Pretty interesting. James says red pyramid thing. The actual name of Pyramid Head comes from the Book of Lost Memories, I believe, but he does get referred to as the red pyramid thing in the manual and a few different places, so that's kind of his secondary name. Also, Eddie's very quick to deny any involvement with. I forgot to show it before we did the cutscene. Funny, but there is a dead guy in this fridge. What the? Who could have done this? And Eddie's very quick to deny that he had anything to do with that. Whether or not that's true, hard to say. He's awfully suspicious, that's for sure. But I'm just looking around this apartment. There's some. I don't think it's this room, but there is a room that has some posters that refer to Eddie, but I'll talk about that when I get there. So, Eddie, weird guy. Funny fact, originally that scene had like visible vomit and everything. Everything was this is a pretty interesting to hell atmospheric thing. You can't actually go that way, but if I look at the map, it's pointed east, and I believe it corresponds with some other location. Maybe it's referring to any number of places in Silent Hill. I think that points directly to where Silent Hill 1's map takes place. Maybe it refers to that. I don't know. I think it's just flavor text. There's some boarded up doors again. This room I can go in. And sounds like there's an enemy. Alright, this guy I'm gonna really take out. Oh yeah. Damn it. The combat in these games is not stellar, to say the least. I mean, it's not bad. It's appropriate for what the game is, but a lot of it, it's hard to dodge things, really. Which is why you usually want to use the guns, the handguns. This room, unremarkable, it just has some ammo, although it does have this. A sightseeing brochure. Welcome to Silent Hill. Silent Hill, a quiet little lakeside resort town. We're happy to have you. Take some time out of your busy schedules and enjoy a nice, restful vacation here. Row after row of quaint old houses, a gorgeous mountain landscape, and a lake which shows different sides of its beauty with the passing of the day, from sunrise to late afternoons to sunset. Silent Hill will move you and fill you with a feeling of deep peace. I hope your time here will be pleasant and your memories will last forever. Editor, Roger Woodmark. So Roger Woodmark, not a character, but he's referred to again in Silent Hill Arcade, just as a journalist. Pretty interesting. So that little brochure is actually seen again in... So this little painting is interesting. It's just a strange little surrealist piece, but that brochure is seen again in Silent Hill 3. When you come back to Silent Hill, you can actually revisit a location in this game called Heaven's Night. We're gonna go through here. Not sure where the... Oh, this is that staircase from earlier. I'm actually gonna avoid that and go back out through the courtyard. But again, sorry I keep getting interrupted by myself, but that brochure, you see it again in Silent Hill 3. And I believe, so we got the coin there from the pool, and we also met Eddie. And interesting, you can actually finish this area without meeting Eddie. You can go into this next section. You can open this fire escape before you fight Eddie. To fight Eddie, what am I talking about? Before you talk to Eddie. But eventually you'll try and open a door and it will say, "Some force is keeping me from entering," which means you have to go back and explore and find Eddie before you can progress. But we're going to use the fire escape key and find out. Uh-oh. So the fire escape completely gone. Someone just... Yeah, no fire escape. Thanks for the observation, James. So they knocked it down when they built the next door building. So, we'll crawl through the window. And what we've just done is, you'll see when I don't have a map of this area. So, obviously, this is a different apartment building than Woodside Apartments. I'll just tell you the name right off the bat is Blue Creek Apartment Building. Now there's a toilet here filled with orange slop and just refuse. Looks like there's something inside the toilet. Will you take it out? So this is a pretty famous scene where James reaches in the toilet. Again, another weird decision. He doesn't roll up his sleeve or try and pry it out with his wooden plank. He just uses his hand. And it looks like a wallet. There's a memo in it. 06 03 08 01. So forgive me for a second. 06 03 08 01. Okay, so I was just trying to remember the code. It's just filled with handgun bullets. It's a safe. That's a little optional puzzle. You don't have to do it. Anyways, that toilet scene is very famous. There's actually a section in Silent Hill 3 that references it if you have Silent Hill save data on your system.
Oh, forget it. This is way too gross. Who would even think of doing something so disgusting?
And it's pretty hilarious. I love Heather in Silent Hill 3. She's a great character. Wow. I managed to get to him before he spat on me. That door's locked. So interesting. Just notice that the entire apartment, same with Woodside to some extent. There's water on the floor. It looks very drab. It looks like it's been water damaged, honestly. It looks like it's been flooded. It doesn't make sense because we're on the second floor. But there is a lore reason for that, which I'll explain later. But just keep it in mind. There's a lot of little things in this game that I'm going to ask you to keep in mind. Like those posters in the beginning bathroom. Just because I don't want to spoil it as I go, because it creates a much better revelation and much more interesting when you get to it, as opposed to if I just told you all the spoilers off the bat. Another washing machine room with no real point. I think we can go in here. Oh. I was just proven wrong. This room, as opposed to concrete, it's all wrapped up with cloth. It's locked. There's a note. Dear Tim, I have to run an errand, so I'm going out. I left the house key with Uncle David. You know where he lives, don't you? The key in the room is in the room near the first floor staircase. I'll be back as soon as I can, so please watch the place while I'm gone. Great. And this is something I really love, which is the mannequins. they won't move until you get close enough, unlike lion figures, because they're mannequins, you know? Get it? It's really, really interesting. It's really cool design. But, can't go in here. That's locked too. That was strange. I don't know if you heard that, but, again, this game is so dense. Because that sound effect of jiggling, the jiggling door, after I walked away, I've never heard it before. Now if we turn to our left here, you can see on the ground, we've got a map of the Blue Creek Apartments. I'm gonna heal really quickly. I'll use a medkit. Let me check how much handgun. 120! Holy mackerel. So we're gonna use the handgun here. It's obviously a Beretta. We're gonna check the 3rd floor. Completely blocked off. So, down to the 1st floor here. I'm gonna check back here really quickly. Another mailbox, and can't get the door open. That door you can go through in the Born from a Wish scenario. Now there's that winding noise again, and that's from these little bugs you'll see on the floor there. These are called creepers. 104, locked. 101, broken I guess. I mean, they're all broken, but... Broken. So, we're gonna head back here, and I'm gonna go in this washing room because there's a medkit. And we can enter this room. Now this White Chrism, a new game plus item. Once again, you pick up all those items, or a certain 4 or 5 items, and if you do grab them all, then you will get another ending that's only possible in a new game plus. It's not a joke ending though; it's called the rebirth ending, which is interesting. I can explain it now because it doesn't spoil anything. James just gets all these items and ritual items, and then tries to use the town's magic to revive Mary. It's right here. There's this little thing. There's something written on the desk. 3 byte. Right off the bat, I already can't speak. 3 bright coins and 5 holes be. At one end sits the seducer of she. The wind from behind the woman doth play. The formless one, Null, lies furthest from they. The old one beside the serpent sits not. 'Tis to the prisoner's left that he doth rot. So, you might have picked up on the prisoner and the old one. Those are the 2 coins I've gotten so far. So this is where the coins will go once I have all 3 that I need. I only have 2 right now. But that's the hint that explains where they go. Nothing looks like it would be of use. So this room we will return to. Did I check the left already? Yep. So I need to go the other way actually. And I believe all the doors are locked except for 109. Which is this one. I'm gonna walk over. There's some handgun ammo here. I'm gonna walk in here and there will be a cutscene.
Oh, it's you.
Yeah, I'm James.
Angela.
Angela, okay. I don't know what you're planning, but there's always another way.
Really? But you're the same as me. It's easier just to run. Besides, is what we deserve.
No, I'm not like you.
Are you afraid? I'm sorry.
It's okay. Did you find your mother?
She's not anywhere.
Did she live in this apartment building?
I don't know.
So, all you know is she lived in this town.
What did you say? How do you know that?
Well, I just figured, 'cause this is where you're looking for her. How else would I know?
Yeah.
Am I right?
I'm so tired.
So, why did you come to this town anyway?
I'm sorry. Did you find the person you're looking for?
Not yet. Her name's Mary. She's my wife.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Anyway, she's dead. I don't know why I think she's here.
She's dead?
Don't worry. I'm not crazy. At least, I don't think so.
I've got to find my mama.
Should I go with you? This town's dangerous. Now I know what you meant back there in the cemetery.
I'll be okay by myself. Besides, I'd just slow you down.
What about that?
Will you hold it for me?
Sure. No problem.
If I kept it, I'm not sure what I might do. I'm sorry. I feel bad. Please don't.
Okay, so that's a really... I think that's my favorite cutscene in the game, honestly. It's so perfect. If you want to rewind to see what I'm talking about, but when Angela sort of starts changing her tune, you get the overhead shot of her in the mirror with it reflects both, sort of to show the duality of her personality between somewhat angry at James and also sad and demure. It's just genius. I mean, there's a lot of that in the cutscenes in this game, but that framing especially, beautiful. And that lying in front of the mirror, excuse me, holding the knife, that's probably the most iconic image from the game, besides maybe the burning staircase, and you know, it's just amazing. It really is. And so Angela's sitting there with the knife, and she's looking at it. She's obviously having some suicidal ideation, and so James offers to hold it for her. And I find it really interesting that you know, James is like, I'm not crazy, at least I don't think, you know. It's just great, and I think Guy Seehey's voice acting is really awesome, and I think Donna Burke does an amazing job as Angela. Fun fact for the fans of the Metal Gear series, Donna Burke actually does the voice of the iDroid in Metal Gear Solid 5, and she sings a lot of the songs too, I think, which is pretty cool. Anyways, James is looking at this, so I'll pick it up. I misspoke earlier. I said we have the prisoner and the old man coin. We actually had the prisoner and the snake, and now we have the prisoner. Fuck. The old man and the snake. Now we have the prisoner coin. And finding the prisoner coin in a room of Angela's, pretty significant, especially when you look at the coin and you examine, and you'll see there's a woman on the coin who sort of resembles Angela. So it's pretty interesting. The mirror, again, mirror effects look amazing in this game. If you actually use a camera hack, you can look overhead and see it's just a whole nother room. But I think anyone who's pretty familiar with video games and how they're made knows that any good mirror reflection in any game is just a secondary room with a viewport that reflects your character's model. And this mirror is very similar to the one you find in the storage room in Silent Hill 3, but it doesn't have the wicked cool effects. But anyways, worth noting, there's some pictures in this room of family and some stuff, and it has a different layout than most of the rooms in the apartment building. Likely because this room is Angela's. This room is probably from Angela's old house that she used to live in. And I think somewhere here, forgive me for oh, there it is. You can kind of see it at the bottom there, on the bottom middle of the screen. There's two halves here, which you can actually bend down. A photo. Oops. I thought James would say something about it, but it's just, you just look at it. You'll see it's a torn in half photo of a woman and a little girl, and then a father, and kind of is blocked out there, but it's a father and a little brother. I'll put up the original untorn photo. You can find the texture in the game files, but what this shows is, you can kind of guess, but the little girl is, it's probably Angela's family, being that this is her room, or not like her room, but a room of Angela's, and has a little torn up family photo with the girl. Obviously Angela's looking for her mom, so she's on pretty good grounds, but obviously with the prisoner coin and how jumpy Angela is and everything, something isn't quite right with her, and that's further backed up by the knife she gave us, which we can actually look at. I don't plan on using this as a weapon, but we'll examine it. The blade is stained with something red, so this knife has been used on someone before, and I'll just spoil it and say Angela came here for a very good reason, which is she well, guilty conscience, because she killed her father and her brother. Not really a big spoiler because it's hinted at so strongly throughout the whole game, and but basically the situation is Angela was being raped by her father. She was being molested and beaten by both her father and her brother, which is confirmed in the novelization, and you know, just a horrible situation. So one day she decided to use the knife and fight back, and she killed her father, and it's never said in the game, but in the novelization she did kill her brother as well because he was abusive. Her mom was emotionally abusive. She said, you know, like, you deserve it, but she never did anything nearly as bad as her father and brother, which is why she's looking for her. Some people speculate she's looking for her mom because she wants to finish her off, you know, kill her, but I really doubt that. She seems really endearing and, you know, desperate to find her mom. Again, that's why I said earlier that she's been aged beyond her years and why she looks much older. That's also why she wears a very covering up clothes, you know, not revealing in any way, unlike some of the other characters in the game, because she's maybe covering up bruises and, you know, other signs of abuse. A very interesting story. Anyways, I want to point out, someone I was talking about Silent Hill on 4chan recently, and a very astute observation was made by a nice poster who pointed out that Angela, she always avoids eye contact. You know, she's always averting her eyes. She's almost always looking away when she's speaking to people, and that's a very common symptom, the poster pointed out, of abused dogs and abused children, is they'll always avoid eye contact. They're always, you know, look away because they're afraid to look at, you know, other people. They're just afraid. It's an astute observation, and normally it would be disregarded as, you know, like, oh, that's too silly, it's too detailed. But in a game with this dense of details and attention to detail, and as well as the fact that every single facial animation was done custom by one guy, by Sato, It's not far-fetched that it was intentional, and I think it's a very good observation. No one on the wiki or on Silent Hill Memories or any other sites has pointed it out. So credit to that guy. A great observation. So we're gonna leave the room, and I'm gonna point out my favorite thing in the game, or one of my favorite things. This impossible space, which is the store which you normally find in one of these apartments, which is dark and dreary and beat up and boarded up, and then there's a little teddy bear next to it, and then to the right is this pure white bright door where you find Angela behind. And this is really interesting because, one, it makes no sense. It's the first case of impossible space in Silent Hill 2, and two, a lot of people think this symbolizes Angela and her life, and how her past, her dark childhood is all boarded up. She wants to repress it, and it's dark, it's depressing, and everything. Further supported by the fact there's a teddy bear right next to it to show her past. A stuffed animal. It probably belonged to the kid that used to live here, which is sort of implied it's Angela, And then this bright white door, which is interesting, and Angela's behind it, and it might show her want and need to move on and repress the terrible things that have happened to her. Worth noting that white is the symbol of purity, the purity she wants to repress, that memory. She wants purity, which was stolen so terribly by her father and brother. But it also represents Japan death, which is interesting because she obviously has some suicidal ideation going on, what with the knife and staring at it and everything. There's just some random pictures. Nothing interesting, nothing of use really. But and the track that plays in that cutscene is called Promise Reprise, and it's probably my favorite track in the game, or one of them at least. We're gonna check these last few doors just for solidarity. Locked, and the other one's boarded up. So now that we do have all coins, we already read the hint for this, so I'm just gonna go ahead and solve it. Now the snake is, oops, I guess I'm not, yep, I had to look at it, but the snake, obviously, as the inscription says, snake is a seducer, and it sits at one end, so we're gonna put it there. Now the prisoner, we're gonna go with the old man next, which you can nullalize on the other end, which is empty, so we're gonna put him here. And then the prisoner doth rot next to the old man, so we're gonna put him there. And then there's a space between them, which would be right here, so I'll put that in. Click, and we got the line house key, which I'll examine. This must be the key mentioned in that note, the one that says it was left with Uncle David. So we're gonna head back upstairs to that apartment and use that key. Now Uncle David and line and all that, there's no real lore behind it, it's just a puzzle thing. Whoop. I turned around and looked directly to the camera, I accidentally broke the fourth wall there. Interesting that the mannequins have no mouth but can make such terrifying noises. But this room is all messed up. You can actually go out on the balcony. This is the only other room where you have two doors back to back. What they symbolize, nobody really knows. This is the only glitch in the game, or one of the only glitches in the game, which is in here. If you look in the bottom right, it's clipping. The camera clips through there. But you can walk over to this other apartment, which has a save space, and some handgun ammo, some pictures on the wall, and apartment stairway key. Looks like there's a note there on the bed, but we can't examine it. Haven't saved in a while, so a quick save. So we got the stairway key, which we will use on the left here, on that locked door. 1 second here. And quick save. Okay, now let's head through. Alright, so I'm just gonna unload on Pyramid Head because I have a lot of ammo. Now in this boss fight you can actually beat Pyramid Head. He, you know, this boss fight's actually on a timer, which you can reduce. Notice he's going incredibly slow, which is because I'm shooting him so fast and hard. And the timer is reduced by shooting him a lot. And you'll hear that air horn after you do enough damage where the timer goes up. Pyramid Head will wander away. If you look here, oh shit! Turns out I'm not very good at video games. At least this is good actually because you get to see the game over screen. So I was just trying to show you that Pyramid Head will, if you follow him when he's trying to leave, he will turn around and attack you again. Interesting note, the cursor is actually Angela's knife, which I would have pointed out earlier, but you hadn't seen it. We'll hit continue. We saved just before that, so...
Light as a feather when I'm floating through, reading through the daily news, measuring the hurt within the golden rule. Centimeters of ether, I'm heating the speaker. Motivational teacher with words that burn people.
Okay, so we beat him again. Anyways, I'm not going to follow him and get killed this time. He has 2 attacks, which is, one is he just kind of slings the blade at you, which, I'm going to turn down the volume a little bit, but he kind of slings the blade at you, which will do about half your health bar of damage, and the other one's an overhead attack, which will kill you instantly, unless you're playing on easy. So that air horn kind of draws Pyramid Head away. He walks down this watery-filled staircase, and we hear the door opening noise, which means it gets drained out. But very interesting cutscene. A lot of people think the mannequin scene is where he's raping things, but it's actually not. It's in this cutscene, where he's obviously molesting the lying figure here. He's forcing it into his genitals and moaning very loudly. Now that's of course representative of James's sexual frustration and all that. His aggression and male sexuality. And the Great Knife is pretty interesting because if you look at Pyramid Head, he's designed to make it look like his pyramid hurts to wear. It's what Ito wanted it to look like. And James is sort of a duality of Pyramid Head, and that Pyramid Head is James's tormentor, designed specifically for him. But at the same time, he's much like James in that he has that aggressive male sexuality, and he the Great Knife, which represents his burden, which we'll talk about later. But really cool boss fight.